A female cashier was working alone in a small accessory store during a quiet night. The calm atmosphere was suddenly disrupted when robbers entered. They approached her, brandishing knives and creating an immediate sense of danger. Frightened, the cashier chose not to resist. The robbers quickly moved behind the counter and began searching for valuables. However, the store had little to offer. Unable to find anything of value, the robbers turned their frustration toward the store itself. They used their knives to smash the glass display cases and disrupt the counter, leaving a mess behind. Moments later, they fled the scene empty-handed. On the 26th of December 2021, a man entered a busy restaurant, blending in at first as customers and staff went about their usual routines. Moments later, he approached the cashier and demanded money. The cashier hesitated, unsure of how the situation would unfold. Before the robber could carry out his plan, several restaurant workers quickly stepped in. Acting together, they confronted him and stopped the robbery from progressing. A struggle broke out as they restrained him and prevented him from escaping, drawing the attention of other customers in the restaurant. Within minutes, authorities were alerted and arrived at the scene. The robber was taken into custody while staff and customers looked on, shaken but safe. The incident ended without any serious injuries, and the swift response of the workers ensured the situation was brought under control. An amateur shoplifter steals a package from the store and runs to his car. This store owner chases after him and he's able to recover the package just before the thief drives off. A woman was walking along a busy street, holding her purse close as traffic moved around her. In a sudden moment, a man rushed past, grabbed her purse, and took off running before she could react. He sprinted across the road, weaving through traffic, crossing lane after lane without looking back. Cars honked and people shouted as he pushed forward, determined to escape. After crossing 6 lanes, he slowed down and tried to blend into the crowd, acting like just another pedestrian. But he wasn't smart enough. A police car nearby had already noticed the chaos. The officer spotted the suspect moving nervously through the crowd while clutching the stolen purse. The car stopped, and one officer jumped out and ran straight toward him. The thief tried to change direction, but it was too late. The officer caught up, stopped him, and placed him under arrest. The stolen purse was recovered, and the woman's belongings were returned. On Christmas Day, the 25th of December 2019, an armed robber walked into the store with confidence, pulling out a gun and pointing it around as customers and staff froze in fear. He shouted for the cashier to hand over the money, moving closer to the counter as tension filled the room. Behind the counter, one of the sales personnel stayed calm. While the robber was focused on the cash register, the worker quietly grabbed a nearby fire extinguisher. In one sudden move, the sales personnel activated it. A loud burst filled the store as thick white powder sprayed into the air, completely covering the robber and blocking his vision. Disoriented and confused, he stumbled backward, unable to see or control the situation anymore. The gun dropped from his grip as he tried to wipe his eyes. Other staff and customers quickly moved to safety while the robber was overwhelmed and unable to continue. Within moments, help arrived and the situation was brought under control. A quiet night ride home quickly turned into a dangerous encounter when a man on his motorbike was suddenly approached by 2 thieves riding another bike. They pulled up beside him, pointed guns, and forced him to stop. Outnumbered and at risk, the rider complied. One of the thieves got off, ordered him away from his bike, and then climbed on, preparing to ride off with it. But just as the thief was about to speed off, a passerby stepped in. Acting quickly, he rushed the thief and knocked him off the bike, disrupting their escape. The sudden intervention changed everything. The commotion drew attention, and within seconds, more people joined in. Together, they surrounded the thieves and prevented them from fleeing, eventually holding them down until they could be handed over to authorities. What could have ended in a successful robbery instead became a story of quick thinking and collective action, rescuing the day. On the 13th of March 2013, on a busy morning in the streets of Caracas, 2 thieves approached a bike delivery rider who was waiting with goods for delivery. They suddenly confronted him and forcefully took the packages from his bike, threatening him while he stepped back in shock. As they prepared to leave, an off-duty police officer nearby noticed the robbery in progress. He moved in quickly and shot at them, hitting one of the thieves. The second suspect fled the scene. Bystanders rushed over for the incident, and the delivery rider was left shaken. A welder stands outside an apartment building, focused on repairing a damaged metal fence. Suddenly, loud screams break the calm. People come running down the street. Two thieves speed past on a motorbike, trying to escape, with a small crowd chasing after them. The welder looks up, quickly assessing the situation. Without hesitation, he grabs a loose section of the metal fence he had just removed. As the motorbike approaches, he times it carefully and throws the metal piece toward the path of the bike. It hits the front wheel, causing the riders to lose balance. The motorbike skids and crashes to the ground. The thieves scramble but are quickly surrounded by the pursuing crowd. Within moments, they are overpowered and held down until authorities arrive. The welder also chases after them. What started as a normal workday turned into a moment that stopped a crime in its tracks. On a quiet evening on the 12th of May 2023, a man was having dinner at a restaurant with his wife and daughter. The place was calm, with customers quietly enjoying their meals. Suddenly, a man wearing a face cap walked up to their table. He quietly pulled out a gun and pointed it at the father, ordering him and his wife to hand over their belongings. Not wanting to cause a scene or frighten their daughter, they slowly gave him their phones, wallets, and jewelry. After taking their valuables, the robber calmly walked to two other tables. He showed the gun to the customers and demanded their belongings, and they quickly handed them over. Within a few minutes, the man had robbed several people. He then tucked the gun away and casually walked out of the restaurant, leaving the shocked customers behind. On a quiet Monday morning, a man was walking out of a bank after withdrawing a lot of money and aware that someone had been watching him. Suddenly, two armed thieves rushed toward him. They pulled out their guns and tried to corner him, clearly planning to rob him of the money he had just withdrawn, but the man reacted instantly. Instead of panicking, he quickly reached for his own firearm. Within seconds, he drew it and fired back at the attackers. The sudden response caught the thieves completely off guard. In the exchange, both of them were hit and fell to the ground. Realizing the situation was dangerous, the man quickly moved away from the scene and escaped to safety before more trouble could unfold. What the thieves thought would be an easy robbery turned into a shocking failure because their target was ready to defend himself. On a Monday morning in a quiet parking lot, a biker and a man in his car arrived at the same time, unaware of what was about to unfold. Suddenly, two bikes pulled in quickly, carrying four armed thieves. The atmosphere changed instantly as the thieves surrounded both men. They ordered the biker and the driver out of their vehicles and began searching them, demanding valuables. The situation was tense and controlled by the attackers, with both victims forced to comply under pressure. But in a split second, the biker saw an opening and reacted. He resisted and engaged one of the thieves, throwing the group into chaos. The carefully controlled robbery quickly broke down as confusion spread among the attackers. Seizing the moment, the man from the car quickly got back inside his vehicle, reached for a firearm, and warned the thieves to back off. A shot was fired into the air, escalating the panic instantly. Startled and frightened, the four thieves abandoned the robbery and ran back to their bikes, speeding away from the scene. As silence returned to the parking lot, the biker and the driver looked at each other in relief. The tension faded, and both men, shaken but safe, shared a brief moment of gratitude before leaving the scene and going home safely.